What we do here is go back.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the Butler Press Pass. I'm Savannah Betcher.
And I'm Eric Robinson.
Eric, we have a great show planned out today that includes a recap of events that took place over the weekend, including men's tennis and track and field.
We also have Assistant Sports Information Director Kit Stetzel here in studio, as well as a roundtable segment discussing the baseball team's hot start.
Let's jump right into what happened by taking a look at what happened last week in Butler sports. The track team traveled to Vanderbilt over the weekend. Sophomore Wade Walder threw the javelin 51.18 meters, or roughly 168 feet. Walder also set his personal best in the 110-meter hurdles with a time of 15:49.
Redshirt junior Johnny Leverins also continues to impress this season as he won the 1,500 meters with a time of 3:43.61. Leverins also ran the fastest 800-meter time in the country for the season, edging out Ohio State's Alexander Lomong with a time of 1:49.11.
The men's tennis team beat Villanova in dominating fashion over the weekend. This marked the first conference game of the season for the Bulldogs after winning the Big East Championship last year. Junior Mason Dragos won a tight match in the number 1 singles slot. The Bulldogs also captured victories in 2 through 5 slots and all 3 doubles matches. The final score was 6-1.
The baseball team also played this past weekend as they went 2-1 against St. Francis, Valparaiso, and Anderson College. On Thursday, they beat St. Francis 11-1 in 7 innings before dropping a Friday contest to Valparaiso 9-2. In the loss to the Crusaders, senior Garrick Parker drove in both runs for the Bulldogs while going 2 for 4 on the afternoon at the plate. Redshirt senior Michael Hartnagel also went 2 for 4 for Butler. Yesterday, Butler also played against Anderson College and won that matchup 13-4.
Every week, we showcase certain players or highlights from the week as our top dog. With more on this week's Top Dog Moments is Peyton Kime.
I'm Peyton Kime, and these are this week's Top Dog Moments. Coming in at number 3 is junior softball player Caitlin Dowd for her performance in a win versus Florida A&M. Dowd got the start and win on the mound for the Bulldogs while giving up only 4 hits and 1 earned run. Dowd also supplied the winning run for the Bulldogs off of a wild pitch. At number 2 is the men's tennis team, who got off to a great start in conference play as they took down Villanova 6-1. Junior Mason Dragos had a big day as he won both singles and doubles matches. The win improves the Bulldogs to 11-4 on the spring season. The number 1 top dog moment this week is baseball player Connor Mitchell for winning the Big East Pitcher of the Week award. Mitchell threw a 2-hit shutout against Western Michigan on Friday afternoon to lead the Bulldogs to a 3-0 victory. The lefty struck out 10 batters and issued just 1 walk over 9 innings of work. With the win, Mitchell advances to 2-0 on the year with a 2.08 ERA.
Thanks, Peyton. Now we welcome Kit Stetzel onto the show. He plays a key role as the Assistant Sports Information Director for Butler Athletics. With more on his role within the athletic department is Butler Press Pass's own Keelan Martin.
Thanks, Eric, and thank you for joining me today, Kit. For those that don't know the job, sports information director, before, how would you describe it, your position?
I think my main purpose is to promote Butler athletics to the best of my ability, and that starts with student athletes, rolls into coaches and administrators. We want to make sure it's a good fan experience when we host these events. We come up with some game notes, and every day is a little bit different, but it's all about Butler athletics.
Well, talk about a typical day, since you said every day is different.
Yeah, every day can be different. You know, if there's a baseball game, I'm obviously going to cover that. What we want to do is get a midweek game in. Then we want to take all the stats. We're responsible for taking all the statistics through the contest. Yeah. We want to flip that. We want to push things out through social media, and then we want to get ready for the next contest.
How long does that take, like the stats and things like that?
We use a stat crew system, so after a game, it probably takes 30 minutes. We load everything up. We send it to the Big East Conference. We send it to the NCAA office, and we make sure we're all on the same page.
So how did you get into sports information?
I grew up with brothers and sisters that were involved in sports. I, too, played sports, and when it comes time to stop playing sports, you find your passion, and that's where I landed here.
Yeah. So what is your toughest part of your job?
Probably the time management. You don't typically have a 9-to-5 job here. You work a lot of weekends, a lot of nights.
Yeah. Going off that, how often are you here at Hinkle, just working?
Quite a lot. As you know, we have multiple sports in the fall, spring, and winter. So I have a volleyball, a women's soccer season going on at the same time. So typically every weekend I'm at Hinkle or at the Bowl.
Okay. So how did you become the Butler? How did you come to Butler? Like what drew you to Butler?
Well, I made a few stops along the way. I'm an IU grad, and then I went to grad school at Ball State. Working at those two universities allowed me to know my former boss, Jim McGrath, a little bit. So that was very helpful in getting me to Butler.
How is Butler different from those other schools?
Butler is great in that it has the big school feel, but the enrollment's low. So you still have the nice campus, but you see the Big East athletes come through. So it's a nice mix.
What makes Butler special to you?
I'd say the student athletes. There's a sense of pride, and that goes to the coaches as well. All the coaches that I work with here at Butler really make the job enjoyable.
So I heard you interned with the Oakland Raiders. Talk about that experience a little bit.
Well, the Oakland Raiders were my team, so that was a special moment for me. I got to go out right after graduation in 08 and work training camp with the team. So a lot of interviews with the players out there and got to rub elbows with the coaches. It was a good time.
How was that?
It was one of the best, month and a half, 2 months of my life. Being a big fan, then going out there and getting to see the guys that you root for on every Sunday. It was a good experience for me.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Kit.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Savannah, back to you.
Thanks, Keelan, and thank you to Kit for taking the time to be here today. Joining us now is Press Pass analyst Peyton Kime. Peyton, you ready to talk about some baseball?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So the Bulldogs have a series against Indiana University starting today. Games at 2 o'clock, 6:05 in a doubleheader. How do you think that matchup is going to end up?
I really hope the Bulldogs can just get a win in that in that matchup. I think they've for them it's going to be key batters, Tyler Houston and Garrett Chrisman. They both bat around 350, so getting those runs on the board early in the game to show they belong in this series, I think is going to be big for them.
And Indiana, their highest batting average is 338, and the Bulldogs actually have 3 players above that, so that offense really needs to come in. So, Eric, moving over to you. Last season, around this time, the Bulldogs were 17-7, but ended up finishing the season 31-20. They now sit at 17-4 with about 33 games left in the season. So, what do you think is really going to be the key to keeping that positive momentum going?
I think the biggest thing is just staying consistent on both sides of the ball. Right now, they're near the top of the Big East Conference in both batting average and ERA. They're hitting 285, and their ERA is at 282 right now. But last year, during conference play, that really started to kind of slide down. They ended up hitting 253 in conference, and their ERA jumped to around 447. So especially against teams like Indiana, they can really show that they are a team to kind of fear in the Big East. And moving into that schedule, the Big East is a whole different animal in every sport, but baseball as well. It's just going to be trying to maintain that positive momentum, trying to stay consistent.
Yeah, definitely want to finish that season strong. So, Peyton, moving back over to you. Tons of games have been canceled due to the weather, tons of rain in the Indiana area. How do the Bulldogs really combat that?
I think staying mentally prepared for anything is the biggest key. Getting pitchers and batters inside, going through the reps like a daily routine is going to be big for them. And then when they do get back on the field, you can expect maybe fielding to be a little rusty. That's expected. You haven't been out there. It's been inconsistent. But I think if their fielding is going to be back to where they expect it to be versus IU team, I can expect big things for them.
Awesome. So kind of looking big picture at the season, Eric, how would you grade the team thus far?
I think you have to give them an A. Right now they're 17-4. That record does say a lot. I mean, they just got to win over Anderson College to knock that rust off going into a big series against IU, going into conference play. It's going to be just keeping that momentum going against the bigger teams that they're going to have to play. But right now, 17-4, you got to give them an A.
Yeah, no, for sure. Peyton, how about you? An A from Eric?
Yeah, I agree. A is definitely valid for this team. They have 17 wins, but they haven't really played many high-quality teams yet so far this season. That's going to change over the next coming month. But I think for them, it's going to be big versus IU team to show that they belong and validate their 17-4 record.
Yeah, and of course that IU team is number 11 in the nation. That's all the time we have for us today. I'm Savannah Betcher.
And I'm Eric Robinson, and this has been the Butler Press Pass. We have our credentials, and now you have yours. See you next week.